Hello humans. Punkworks? What's that then? Well, it is our new VFX company. And what better way to launch a hybrid effects company than to shoot an ident in miniature to show the world just how we roll. We've teamed up with Distortion Studios and Terramotion, who specialise in robotic camera rigs, to create our new company Ident. Today we're using their larger arm to create a perfect and repeatable camera move that scales our industrial miniature to reveal a crucible as it pours molten metal into a relief of our logo. Of course, this isn't really molten metal. We actually use the same technique harnessed by James Cameron for the penultimate scene in Terminator 2, which we'll get into shortly. Okay, so I just want to talk you through the build that we've got here, which I had absolutely nothing to do with. Well, no, I think this was my idea, but I mean, it's kind of obviously been a combination of mine and JP's in terms of bringing this to where it is. And we wanted to kind of lean into the industrial kind of feel of it, you know, with the works, the Punkworks, metal works. So we thought, well, how about like a forge, a metalwork situation, go super industrial, big chunky pipes and things. I just had this kind of image of coming like out of darkness, just like, you know, the camera just sort of moving past all of this pipe work and scaling this seemingly insurmountable, you know, industrial complex. And then it gets to a top and we see a crucible pouring out our logo. All right, so that's the idea. And so this is all 3D printed. It's all kind of modular. JP's done a lot of this kind of modular. So like these sections here, those are single pieces that he has kind of designed and put together and made up of various bits and bobs that he's, like 3D assets that he's found on the internet, and then printed those as sections. And then we've also got these layers of pipework. So this is all one piece, all of this. So we kind of stick that in there, and then we put bits behind it. And then he's also printed loads of these individual pieces of pipework with bends and things. And then what we did is we essentially just had a day where we kind of got together. I looked at all of the parts that JP had 3D printed, and then just kind of started laying it out and you know, putting pipes here, bit there, bit that, bit there, and just kind of like, right, okay, that's my brain. That's the thing that I saw. Now just put it together and paint it. Thanks, mate. And he's put this extra chunky business here. This looks a little bit Death Star, actually, like that.
Target, maximum firepower.
So the crucible is mounted on a linear actuator, which is just mounted on a tripod behind it. And what we've got some super high-tech method for the retraction. So when the motor pulls this back, because we just stuck that to the plate. So that is literally gonna do our rotation in time with the retraction of the crucible. Humans, like, subscribe. These things are important. They actually make a difference. This is the thing that I never remember to tell anyone to do, and apparently it actually does make a difference. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, that's also good. Obey the all-powerful algorithm. Also, we're running a Patreon, so if you want us to keep sharing, please consider going over there and supporting us. It would really help keep these things coming into your eyeballs. Lighting-wise, I'll just show you what I've done. So we've got our key on. Jakes, do you mind turning off the house lights? So I've got a key here, which is just a big panel light that I've set a little bit blue, so set to about 7,000 Kelvin. Our shooting temperature is going to be standard daylight, 56K. And I've just added a bit of plus green. So just dutty it up a little bit, you know, because we're in an industrial space. I don't think their CRI ratings are going to be particularly high on their lighting fixtures. So a little bit green, a little bit dirty. And then what I've done is, because we're dealing with miniatures, the thing you need to be careful with, this is fine because it's a big soft light, it's just an overall ambience just to lift it out of darkness. But what you do is when you're shooting miniatures, you need small lights, right? Because as soon as you see a big light on a miniature that's lighting a huge, what would be a huge space, it's like, hang on, that doesn't work, which is why I need small lights. Which is why we're going to my favorite lights in the industry, which is the old Dado 150s, which are amazing. So I've got two over here. These are already kind of set up where we want them. There we go, yay, they work. And what we've done is I've just kind of spotted them and then used the barn doors to just focus like little dashes of warm light in certain areas. So we've got some like cool greenish light coming in from the right. We've got some warm coming in. I always imagine this as quite a warm a warm image, like almost sepia. I think probably what it is I'm sort of subconsciously leaning into Alien 3. I think that's what's happening. And I remember quite a gold kind of colour in a lot of Alien 3, but obviously mixed with that typically kind of moody, you know, bluish ambient. So I think that's where this has probably come from, with the sum of all of our references and experiences, right? So that's the vibe. And then also in my head, what I saw, which is, it seems counterintuitive, I think, in a lot of like lighting. It's not an obvious thing to do, but I can see it, and I was like, I just think it will look really great, which is actually adding a tiny snooted spotlight onto the front of the camera to give it almost an exploratory kind of look to it. So there's, and also sort of a natural vignette from the light as well. I just kind of saw it, so I think that will look dope, and I think we should try it. So JP gave it a go, and then what he also did was do a wet down with our spritz, because you're front lighting it, right? So you get the reflection back of that light. And so all of the little details start popping when you wet it down, but that will be fixed to the camera. So it's just a constant light that moves with the camera. These are wicked little things, actually. These tiny little lights, again, so good for miniature work. And they come with, so they're just like little spots like that. They come with their own little snoots. There we go. Just such a... Yeah, oh, there we go, we'll light it as well. Yeah, big fan of these. They're really great. For miniature stuff, these are amazing because you can really start to sort of focus light. And so what we're also going to do is we're going to blue this right up, and then when we're doing passes, we're going to do some stuff from the back where we just like throw light around here. Because it's a Metalworks idea, so it just like sparks are going off, and also just so that it's not so static. Moving light is great. Like it brings a miniature to life. If everything is inert, it can just feel a little bit dead. So if you just add some actual movement to it, that'll just help to sell the sense that we're really in a giant forge. So this is all 3D printed as well. Boom, and there we go. So this is the one thing that we don't have any dimming options on, right? It just is what it is. And so when I was sort of deciding on exposures, we thought about T8 is probably about right. Wide lenses, it's mostly, you get a lot in focus anyway, you get quite a deep depth, but we want to make sure we've got loads. So I think T8 is pretty safe to get all of the depth that we need to get that sense of scale. And we took a look to see what that looked like at T8, and actually it was pretty much spot on. It wasn't peaking, so we got some nice definition in there, and so we decided T8 was our base aperture, and then what we're also going to do is run a pass at T4, and then that way we're just getting a pass with lots more light, so that we're just retaining lots more detail within our shadows. That's the beauty of doing motion controlled moves, is we can do multiple passes, and we'll probably just play around a little bit. All that said, I think it's robot arm time. So the gentlemen from Terramotion are here, and we are very, very lucky to have them with us. They've brought 2 arms with them today, Slim and Stretch, and they're going to be demonstrating it for us and for some friends of ours. So yeah, time to set up and see if they could do it, because this is a lot of travel for an arm. It's quite a tricky one, because we're starting low angle, right down on the ground, and then we're moving a good 7 feet at least, I would say. And we don't like to make things too easy. Once the arm is built, we move the camera into its final position. Top-down shots are notoriously tricky for robot arms to manage, especially when starting from an almost opposite position. But with some perseverance, Adam finds the position that makes the shot work. We begin the inevitable nitpickery of trying to get the camera and logo perfectly perpendicular. Yeah, I got my spirit level out. What? Once we're happy with the final position, we get the climb and orbit around the crucible as good as we can get it. We set some focus marks while at T4, then close down to T8 to begin capturing passes.
30 degrees out there.
Because we can, we shoot each light source separately, which will allow us to tweak the luminance and colour endlessly later on.
Oh, isn't it moody? And come up.
And of course, the ubiquitous. But hang on, didn't I mention something about Terminator 2? Yes, for the crucible pouring molten metal into our Punkworks relief, we drew inspiration from that iconic scene where both Terminators are destroyed in a conveniently located steelworks. They employed a number of techniques to sell that this big showdown was happening around scorching heat and molten metal. Warm light and smoke mixed with showers of sparks created a convincing environment. But what's this? Yes, a massive crucible hangs over a huge molten metal bath. But this was in fact a prop crucible with warm light underlighting its inside. The smoke firing up around it helps convey a steaming heat. In this brief shot you can actually see the shape of the light fixtures in the bath. They filled it with an opaque viscous liquid made using Methocel, a food thickening agent, and floated pieces of cork on the surface to look like partially dissolved metal. For our crucible we used opaque tinted plastic, in this case 3D printed, backlit with one of our little Ulanzi cube lights. One version has the pour, which is lit up using a section of LED filament connected to a battery. And then a second version without the pour. And just as they did in T2, we used ground up pieces of cork sprinkled over a thickened translucent liquid. We had planned to use Methocel for the thickener, but ended up just using some cheap hair conditioner, as it had just the right opaqueness we needed. Although some of the takes were a little heavy-handed, we knew we could isolate the bits that we liked and get rid of any we didn't with some careful rotoscoping. Yo, just in case you're worrying that now we've got this newfangled VFX company, there's going to be no more InCamera, don't you worry. We're actually working on 6 different episodes right now where we're going to get into rear and front projection for a bunch of different applications, including virtual production. And having had a little play with the new FreeFly Ember, we're going to be shooting some explosive, high-speed MoCo arm business. We're going to take you behind the scenes for movies we've worked on and effects we've created. And we are finally in a position to not only shoot the remaining shots to complete our Thing opening sequence recreation, but we're taking the opportunity to use this incredible 24-inch miniature we've had built to shoot additional miniature shots to extend John Carpenter's original opening to the film. A little bit arrogant, but as this is by far the largest scale and quality miniature we've ever had at our disposal, we're committed to going all out on this one to prove just how good miniatures can look today. Our intention with InCamera has always been to serve as an archive of knowledge. We're not chasing clicks or jumping on trends. This is a place for the seekers who want to learn and get inspired. And I know we don't post regularly enough for the algorithm to show us any love, but we're okay with that. Because when we post, we make it count. We do, however, post regular updates on all of our projects on Patreon. So if you want to help us get these episodes out sooner, head over there and start supporting us. Oh, and PS, don't sign up for the free subscription. It literally helps no one. I mean, except Patreon, who are obviously just after your data. Right, post time.
Because we filmed our shot in passes, it enabled us to switch lighting setups between them. This enabled us to have a lot of control in post-production. By overlaying all of our constituent passes, we could easily add or subtract the intensity of light, as well as change the colour. For our super hot crucible, it was possible to isolate the hot sections, as they were shot as separate passes, enabling us to intensify the brightness, as well as adding glow to those specific areas. The huge advantage with professional motion control rigs, such as Slim and Stretch, enabled us to have the camera motion data from our programmed move. This is in the form of a file that can be brought into a 3D animation program, where the camera data can be used to control the virtual camera, enabling CG objects to be rendered with exactly the same camera motion, which can then be perfectly integrated into the original live action. In our case, we use the motion data to place 2D elements into our scene. Elements such as sparks, embers, fire and smoke, all from our library of effects footage that we've shot over the years. With a few layers of smoke and heat haze distortion added, this is how we completed the final shot.
We want to give a big shout out to the guys at Terramotion for bringing 2 of their robot arms for us to test. The adorably named Slim and Stretch both offer quite unique solutions in motion control. Slim being insanely compact, and the only arm that we're aware of that could be flown anywhere around the world in a handful of flight cases, as well as operate within very confined spaces, yet still deliver top-class fluid camera moves. Stretch was of course the model that we used for our ident, literally stretching it to its limits in terms of operational reach. The ability to manually set keyframes by physically moving both arms was really intuitive and useful in blocking out our camera moves. These positions can then be edited and refined using the control pendant. Once set, these moves can then be saved and played back again and again. I think what sets them apart from most camera robots is the compactness and versatility they offer for motion control. Their speed in programming and setup time allows them to quickly turn around shots that don't take hours to set up, which was perfect for us. If you want more info on Terramotion, you can check out the link in the description.
Isn't she pretty? Like I said, there's lots more to come, so don't forget about us. And don't forget to check out our new website, where you can go and see all of the mad stuff that we've been doing in the tumultuous world of movie making. See you soon.